You think I wouldn't notice, Tom? Linda's voice sliced through the kitchen like a knife through soft butter, sharp and unforgiving. She stood by the sink, hands gripping the edge, her silver-streaked hair catching the late afternoon sun streaming through the window. A single bead of water dripped from the faucet, plink, echoing in the sudden stillness. Tom froze mid-step, his weathered work boots scuffing the linoleum. "What are you on about now, Lynn?" he said, tossing his keys onto the counter with a clatter. His broad shoulders hunched slightly, like a bear caught rummaging through a picnic basket. He was a big man, all rough edges and calloused hands, but there was a twitch in his jaw. Barely there, but Linda saw it. "Don't play dumb with me," she snapped, whirling around. Her eyes, bright and fierce despite the lines etched around them, pinned him in place. "The receipts, Tom. The ones you stuffed in your glove box like some teenager hiding candy wrappers. Dinner for two at Marcello's? A motel charge? 40 years together, and this is what you do." He rubbed the back of his neck, stalling. "Lynn, it's not what you think." "Oh, it's exactly what I think." Her voice rose, a storm breaking loose. "I found lipstick on your shirt collar last week. Cherry red, Tom. I don't even own lipstick anymore. Not since the grandkids said it made me look like a clown." "Who is she? Tell me right now." The air crackled between them, heavy with the weight of decades. Shared Christmases, sleepless nights with sick kids, the time they danced barefoot in the rain when the mortgage was finally paid. Linda's hands trembled, but her chin stayed high, a queen facing a crumbling kingdom. Tom sighed, long and ragged, and sank into a chair. It creaked under his weight. "Her name's Cheryl," he muttered, eyes on the table, tracing the worn-wood grain with a thick finger. She works at the hardware store. It's nothing serious, Lynn. Just stupid. Stupid." Linda laughed, a brittle, jagged sound. "You're sneaking around with some peroxide floozy, and it's stupid? What about us, huh? What about the kids, the grandkids? Little Ellie asking when Papa's going to take her fishing again. You threw us away for stupid." "I didn't throw anything away," he shot back, slamming a fist on the table. The salt shaker jumped, spilling white grains like tiny tears. "You've been so busy with your church groups and your knitting circle, I felt invisible, all right? Cheryl, she listens. She laughs at my dumb jokes." Linda's mouth dropped open, then snapped shut. "Invisible? Oh, that's rich. I've washed your socks, cooked your dinners, kept this house from falling apart while you tinkered with that rusty truck. And you repay me by chasing a skirt young enough to be your daughter?" "She's not that young," Tom grumbled, but his ears turned red, betraying him. He was a man of habits. Coffee black, socks mismatched, a snore that rattled the walls. But this was new, a crack in the foundation Linda hadn't seen coming. She crossed her arms, her floral apron wrinkling. "How long, Tom? How long you been lying to my face?" He hesitated, then muttered, 6 months. "Maybe 7. 7 months." Linda's voice broke, a wounded bird taking flight. "You've been living a double life while I'm planning our anniversary trip to the lake. You coward. Why didn't you just say something?" "What was I supposed to say?" he roared, standing so fast the chair tipped back. "That I'm tired? That I'm old and scared and don't know who I am anymore? You're so damn perfect, Linda. Always have been. I didn't want to drag you down with me." She stared at him, her breath hitching. Perfect? Her, with the bad knee that ached in the rain, the secret stash of chocolate she hid from her diet, the nights she cried over their son's divorce. "You idiot," she whispered. "You absolute fool. I'm not perfect. I'm just here. With you. Where I was." Silence fell, thick as fog rolling off the river. Tom's face crumpled, the lines deepening, a map of regret. "I messed up, Lynn. I'll end it. Tonight. I swear." "You think that fixes it?" she asked, softer now, the fire dimming to embers. "You think I can just forget? I see you with her in my head now. Every time you're late, every time you smile. How do I trust you again?" He stepped closer, hesitant, like approaching a skittish horse. "I don't know, but I'll try. I'll do whatever it takes. Counseling, church, hell, I'll even take up knitting if you want. Just don't give up on me yet." Linda looked at him, really looked. His graying stubble, the scar above his eyebrow from falling off a ladder in '98, the way his hands shook just a little. She saw the boy who'd proposed with a daisy chain because he couldn't afford a ring, the man who'd carried her over the threshold of this very house. And she saw the stranger he'd become, tangled in lies. "I need time," she said finally, voice steady as stone. "And you need to figure out who you're going to be, Tom Wheeler. The man I married or the one who broke my heart?" He nodded, slow and heavy, like a tree bending in the wind. "Fair enough." She turned back to the sink, staring out at the backyard. The swing set rusted but standing, the rose bushes she'd tended for years. A single petal fell, red against the green, and Linda felt the ache settle in her chest. Not gone. Not yet, but shifting like seasons turning over. "Start by calling her," she said without looking back. "Right now? I want to hear it." Tom pulled out his phone, fingers fumbling. The kitchen held its breath as the dial tone buzzed, a tiny sound carrying the weight of their world. Linda gripped the sink tighter, her knuckles white as the justice she'd always believed in fought to bloom again. Thorny, fragile, but alive. Linda and Tom Wheeler weren't always teetering on the edge of a crumbling marriage. Their story started decades ago, in a small-town diner where the coffee was strong and the jukebox played Elvis on repeat. "I spilled ketchup all over your shirt that day," Linda said once, laughing over a glass of iced tea on their porch. It was years later, the kids grown, the house quieter. "You looked at me like I'd ruined your life, Tom Wheeler, but you still asked me out." "Had to," Tom shot back, grinning that crooked grin of his, the one that showed the chipped tooth from a bar fight in '79. "You were the prettiest girl in that dump. Couldn't let some other fool snatch you up." He'd been 22 then, fresh from a stint fixing tractors, hands already rough as sandpaper. Linda, 19, was a seamstress's daughter, all fiery curls and big dreams of a family bigger than the one she'd grown up in. 2 parents, no siblings, a house too silent. "Wanted 6 kids, didn't I?" She'd muse sometimes, folding laundry while Tom tinkered with the truck in the garage. A whole circus of noise and chaos and love. "Got 3 instead," Tom would reply, wiping grease on his jeans. "And ain't that enough? Mark's got his law degree, Jenny's got the twins, and Pete, well, Pete's figuring it out." He'd chuckle, but there was pride there, deep as roots. 3 kids, a modest house with a wraparound porch, a life built brick by brick. Linda had traded her 6-kid dream for a sewing circle and church choir, her nimble fingers stitching quilts for grandbabies instead. Tom traded his wild youth for steady work at the lumberyard, climbing to foreman, a man who liked things solid. Wood, family, routine. But the cracks started small. "You ever think about more, Tom?" Linda asked one night, years back, staring at the ceiling while crickets sang outside. "Traveling, maybe? Seeing the world?" "World's fine right here," he'd grumbled, rolling over. "Got the lake, got you. What's I need?" She'd gone quiet then, her dreams of Paris or even just a road trip tucked away like old photos in a drawer. He didn't notice, or didn't want to. Tom's world was the truck, the yard, the Friday beers with the boys. Linda's grew wider. Friends, Faith, the grandkids who called her Nana Lynn and begged for her oatmeal cookies. Then came the drift. "You're always gone," he'd mutter over breakfast, spoon clinking against his bowl. "Church this, knitting that. When's it my turn?" "Your turn?" she'd fire back, buttering toast with a little too much force. "I'm keeping this family stitched together while you snore through the evenings. Maybe if you'd join me sometime," but he never did. She stopped asking. He stopped complaining, out loud. Anyway, enter Cheryl. "She's just a kid at the store," Tom told himself the first time she laughed at his dumb pun about screws. Blonde, brassy, half his age, with a giggle like wind chimes and eyes that lingered. "You're funny, Tom," she'd say, ringing up his nails and paint. Funny. Linda hadn't called him that in years. One coffee turned into lunches, then dinners, then a motel. Keys slipped into his pocket with a wink. He didn't plan it, swore he didn't, but the lie grew legs, sprinting away from the man he'd been. Linda, meanwhile, clung to her anchors, family, home, the rose bushes she'd nursed through droughts. "These blooms are fighters," she'd tell her granddaughter Ellie, snipping a thorn. "Like us." She didn't know she was fighting too. Not yet. Just felt the chill creeping in, the late nights Tom blamed on overtime, the lipstick she dismissed as a fluke until the receipts screamed the truth they'd built a life on love and grit, aiming for forever. Her with a heart full of loyalty, him with a quiet hunger he didn't name till it was too late. Now, here they stood, the past a tapestry unraveling thread by thread. Their words the only tools left to mend or cut it clean. The kitchen hummed with tension as Tom punched Cheryl's number into his phone. Linda stood rigid by the sink, arms crossed, the drip of the faucet marking time like a metronome. Plink, plink. The line rang once, twice, then Tommy. Cheryl's voice burst through the speaker, all syrup and sparkle. Was just thinking about you. You free tonight? I got this new dress, red tight. You'd love it. Linda's eyes narrowed, sharp as a hawk spotting prey. Tom coughed, his face flushing brick red. Cheryl, listen, hold on, sugar. Cheryl cut in, oblivious. I'm at the store. Big sale on paint rollers. You'd be proud. Oh, and guess what? I told my sister about us. You know, how you're leaving that old nag soon. She's thrilled. Linda's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Tom's jaw dropped, the phone nearly slipping from his grip. What the hell are you talking about, Cheryl? He barked, voice gravelly with panic. I never said that. Sure you did. Cheryl chirped, bright as a bell. Last week, at the motel, you said Linda's all church and no spark, and you're done playing house. Said we'd get a place, maybe near the river. Ring any bells, Tommy? Linda's glare could have melted steel. Done playing house? She hissed, stepping closer, her voice low and lethal. That what I am to you, Tom? Some dried-up chore you're itching to ditch. No. Tom stammered, slamming the phone down to mute Cheryl's chatter. She's making it up. I never... Look, she's crazy, all right? Twists everything I say. Crazy, huh? Linda snatched the phone from his hand, hitting speaker again. Cheryl's voice spilled out mid-sentence. And I told her you're selling that truck to fund it. Tommy, cause you said it's just rust and memories now. Selling my truck? Tom roared, veins bulging in his neck. Woman, you're off your damn rocker. That's my baby. Been mine since '85. Linda's laugh was sharp, a blade glinting in sunlight. Oh, this is rich. You're sneaking around with a nutcase who's got you moving out and selling your precious truck. What's next, Tom? She gonna name your grandkids too? Lynn, I didn't. Tom started, but Cheryl's voice cut through again. Tommy, you there? Don't get mad. Oh shoot, my boss is calling. Text me later, okay? Love ya. The line clicked dead, leaving a silence so thick it buzzed. Linda tossed the phone onto the counter, where it skidded into the salt spill. Love ya, she echoed, voice dripping venom. Real sweet, Tom. Real classy. He sank back into the chair, head in his hands. I didn't tell her half that crap, Lynn. She's got these big ideas, keeps pushing. I just went along sometimes. Stupid, I know. Stupid doesn't cover it. Linda snapped, pacing now, her slippers slapping the floor. You let her think you're leaving me? Me, who stuck by you through layoffs, that pneumonia scare, Pete's jail stint, me? And for what? Some hardware store hussy spinning fairy tales. Tom looked up, eyes bloodshot. I didn't mean for her to go this far. She's loud, pushy. Kept talking like we're some big romance. I didn't stop her. Didn't stop her? Linda stopped pacing, hands on hips. You're a grown man, Tom. You don't just not stop someone. You say no. You walk away. Or were you too busy laughing at her dumb jokes to remember you've got a wife? Before he could answer, the back door banged open. Their daughter, Jenny, stormed in, her curly brown hair wild, toddler twins trailing behind her, clutching juice boxes. Mom, Dad, what's with the yelling? I could hear you from the driveway. Ellie's napping in the car, and, wait, why's Dad look like he's seen a ghost? Linda spun around, apron fluttering. Oh, honey, you're right on time. Your father's got a girlfriend, Cheryl, from the hardware store. Says he's leaving me, selling the truck, moving to the river. Didn't he tell you? Jenny's mouth fell open, juice boxes hitting the floor with a splat. Dad, what? You're kidding, right? Tell me she's kidding. Tom groaned, rubbing his temples. It's not like that, Jen. She's blowing it up, Cheryl's nuts, making plans I never agreed to. Plans? Jenny's voice shot up an octave. What plans? Dad, you've got grandkids. Ellie's asking for fishing trips. Not some floozy step-grandma. What are you doing? Linda crossed her arms, smirking grimly. Go on, Tom. Tell your daughter how you're invisible at home, so you needed a little side adventure. Let's hear it. I messed up, all right? Tom exploded, standing so fast the chair rocked. I'm an idiot, a coward. Pick your word. But I'm not leaving anybody. Cheryl's a mistake, not a plan. Jenny stared, then turned to Linda. Mom, what are you going to do? Kick him out? 'Cause I've got a spare room and a bat, if you need it. Linda's smirk faded, her eyes softening. Just a flicker. I don't know yet, Jen. He's calling her off, supposedly. But now I'm wondering who this man even is. She glanced at Tom, a stranger in flannel she'd known forever. The twins tugged at Jenny's jeans. Nana, why's Poppy yelling? One piped up, big eyes wide. Linda knelt, brushing a curl for the girl's face. Papa's in a pickle, sweetie. A big, messy one. But we'll sort it somehow. Tom watched, throat tight. The room spun with voices, his family, his mess. And for the first time, he saw the cliff he'd stumbled toward. Cheryl wasn't just a fling. She'd built a whole damn castle in her head, and he'd handed her the bricks. Now Jenny's glare, Linda's steel, the twins' confusion. They pinned him like nails in a coffin he'd built himself. Lynn, he said, voice hoarse. I'll fix this. Whatever it takes. She stood, slow, regal. You better, Tom, 'cause I'm not losing my family to your midlife meltdown. Not today, not ever. Her words hung, a gauntlet thrown, as the kitchen clock ticked louder, marking the fight still ahead. The kitchen pulsed with the weight of unspoken years, a pressure cooker ready to blow. Linda's eyes blazed, twin flames in a storm, as she stared down Tom, his broad frame slumping like a tree battered by wind. Jenny hovered by the twins, her face a mask of disbelief, while the kids' juice-sticky hands tugged at her jeans, oblivious to the thunder brewing. The phone on the counter buzzed, Cheryl again, a hornet's sting in the chaos. And it was the spark that lit the fuse. Answer it, Linda said, voice cutting like glass, low and deadly. Right now, Tom. Let's hear her lies, or yours, loud and clear. Tom's hand trembled as he grabbed the phone, fumbling at the speaker. Cheryl's voice spilled out, bright and brassy as a cheap trumpet. Tommy, why'd you hang up? I'm at the motel, got us a room, champagne's chilling. You come in or what? Linda's laugh was a shard of ice, sharp and shattering. Champagne? Oh, Tom, you've upgraded. What's next, diamonds? A yacht? Or just a cheap motel bed to ruin 40 years? Lynn, stop, Tom pleaded, but Cheryl steamrolled on. Tommy, tell that nag to quit yapping. I hear her in the back. You said she's out the door soon, right? Me and you, fresh start, come on, sugar. Don't keep me waiting. The room detonated. Linda lunged, snatching the phone from Tom's hand, her voice a whip crack. You listen here, you home-wrecking tramp. I'm no nag. I'm his wife. 40 years, 3 kids, a life you wouldn't understand if it bit you. He's not yours, never will be. Cheryl's giggles slithered through the speaker, unbothered. Oh, honey, he's been mine for months. Said you're a cold fish, all prayers and no passion. I give him what you can't, deal with it. Linda's face drained white, then flared red, a sunrise gone rogue. She hurled the phone at the wall, crack, plastic splintering like her breaking heart. Cold fish, she roared, whirling on Tom. That what you told her? That I'm some dried-up shell while you play Romeo with that? Tom staggered back, hands up like a shield. No, Lynn, I never said that. She's twisting it. I swear, she's a damn liar. A liar? Linda's voice cracked, a dam bursting. Then why's she so sure, huh? Why's she sipping champagne while I'm scrubbing your grease-stained shirts? Tell me, Tom. Look me in the eye and tell me. He met her gaze, but his eyes were a storm. Guilt, fear, a flicker of the man she'd loved. I let it go too far, he rasped, voice raw as torn burlap. Said dumb things, stupid, drunk things to feel something. But not that, Lynn. Not you. Jenny stepped in, fists clenched, a lioness guarding her pride. Dad, you're disgusting. You let that woman trash Mom? Trash us? Ellie's out there dreaming of fishing with you, and you're, what, planning a getaway with some sleaze. Jen, I'm not. Tom started, but Linda cut him off, her voice rising like a tidal wave. Enough, she bellowed, the word a thunderclap that silenced the room. The twins froze, wide-eyed. Even the faucet's drip seemed to hush. She advanced on Tom, her floral apron a war banner, her silver hair wild as a prophet's. You don't get to stumble through excuses anymore. 40 years, 40. I gave you my youth, my tears, my everything. And you traded for motel sheets and a bottle blonde? You coward, you gutless fool. Tom's knees buckled, and he sank to the floor, a giant felled. Lynn, I'm sorry, he choked, tears streaking his stubbled cheeks, glinting like broken glass in the sun. I'm so damn sorry. I don't want her, I don't want any of it. I want you, always you. Then why? Linda's voice fractured, a sob clawing free. Why'd you break us? Why'd you let her think she won? She clutched her chest, as if holding her heart together, her breath ragged, short gasps, long wails. The air thickened with her pain, a tapestry of betrayal unraveling thread by scarlet thread. Jenny knelt by the twins, pulling them close, her own eyes wet. Mom, he doesn't deserve you. Kick him out. Let him rot with her. But Linda didn't hear. She stared at Tom, crumpled there, a shadow of the man who'd twirled her in the rain. I loved you, she whispered, the words a dagger, soft and piercing. Every flaw, every fight, I loved you. And you spat on it. I didn't mean to, Tom croaked, reaching for her hand. She yanked it back, a queen recoiling from a beggar. Please, Lynn, give me a chance. I'll crawl through hell to fix this. Her silence stretched, a tightrope snapping taut. The kitchen clock ticked, tick, tick, a heartbeat in the wreckage. Linda's gaze drifted to the window, to the rose bushes swaying outside, their thorns glinting like tiny swords. Then she turned back, steel in her spine, fire in her soul. You don't fix this with words, Tom, she said, voice steady now, a river carving stone. You prove it, or you're gone. Cheryl's not the only one who can fight for what's hers. She strode past him, past Jenny's stunned stare, and out the back door. The screen slammed shut, bang, a gunshot in the quiet. Tom stayed on the floor, head bowed, tears pooling on the linoleum like rain on a broken road. The climax crashed over them all, a tempest unleashed, leaving only the wreckage and the faint, fierce hope of rebuilding to linger in its wake. The back door creaked open again, a slow groan cutting through the kitchen's heavy hush. Linda stormed back in, her slippers slapping the floor like war drums, a rolled-up newspaper clutched in her fist like a scepter. Her eyes, still blazing, wet with fury, locked on Tom, who hadn't moved from his heap on the linoleum, a fallen oak in a storm's aftermath. Get up, she snapped, voice a whip crack, sharp and alive. You don't get to wallow, not yet. Tom blinked, sluggish, wiping his face with a sleeve. Lynn, what? Shut it. She flung the newspaper at him. It hit his chest with a thwack and flopped open, revealing a grainy photo. Cheryl, grinning wide at some hardware store event, arms slung around a man who wasn't Tom. Found this in the recycle bin. Yesterday's paper. Your little floozy's been busy, hasn't she? Already parading some new sucker while she's cooing at you. Jenny, still cradling the twins, gasped. Wait, Mom, you mean she's cheating on Dad? Oh, that's golden. Tom scrambled to his feet, snatching the paper, his jaw tightening as he scanned it. That's Rick from the lumberyard, he muttered, voice rising. Son of a, she's playing me too? Linda's laugh was a wildfire, fierce and unstoppable. Oh, Tom, you idiot. You thought you were her big romance? You're just a pawn, a rusty old tool she tossed aside when a shinier one came along. How's it feel, huh? To be the fool for once. He stared at the photo, then at Linda, his face a kaleidoscope of shock and shame. I didn't know, Lynn. Thought she. Damn it, I'm such a jackass. You think. Jenny cut in, smirking, bouncing a twin on her hip. Dad, you got played by a two-bit hustler. Mom's right. You're a fool. But now you're our fool again, yeah? Linda crossed her arms, her apron wrinkled but regal. Here's the deal, Tom, she said, voice steady as granite, though her eyes still shimmered with the storm's edge. You're done with her, done with all of it. You're calling her, ending it, right here, right now. Then you're sleeping on the couch till I say otherwise. You want to fix us? You earn it, day by day, sweat and tears. Got it. Tom nodded, fast like a kid caught sneaking cookies. Yeah, Lynn, I got it. I'll do it. I'll do anything. He grabbed his phone, cracked screen and all, dialed Cheryl with shaking fingers, and hit speaker. The twins giggled, sensing the shift as the line rang. Tommy. Cheryl's voice purred through, syrupy as ever. Finally, you coming over, sugar? No. Tom barked, loud enough to rattle the salt shaker. We're done. Cheryl. Over. You're a liar and a cheat. Saw you with Rick in the paper. I'm staying with my wife, my real family. Lose my number. A beat of silence, then Cheryl's laugh, high and brittle. Oh, please, Tommy, you're no prize. Keep your nag. I'm upgrading anyway. The line clicked dead, a guillotine dropping. Linda exhaled, long and slow, a wind settling after a tempest. Good, she said, firm but softer now. That's step one. Step two? You're taking me to Marcello's tomorrow. Dinner, just us. No motels, no lies. We start there. Tom met her gaze, tentative hope flickering in his red-rimmed eyes. Marcello's. Yeah, Lynn, I'll make it right. Swear it. Jenny grinned, nudging the twins toward the door. Come on, munchkins, let's get Ellie. Nana and Papa need a minute. She winked at Linda. You got this, Mom. He's not going anywhere. Linda watched them go, then turned to Tom, her voice a quiet blade. You're damn right he's not. This is our life, Tom. Ours. You built it with me, and you don't get to burn it down. We fight for it together. He stepped closer, hesitant, then took her hand. She didn't pull away this time. Together, he echoed, voice rough but sure. The kitchen settled, faucet dripping, clock ticking, rose bushes swaying outside. The fire had burned out, leaving embers of resolve. Linda squeezed his hand just once, a vow sealed in the wreckage. No more shadows, no more games, just them, scarred but standing, roots deep and unbroken. So that's it, huh? Jenny said, leaning against the kitchen counter a week later, sipping coffee while the twins scribbled crayons at the table. Dad's big fling blew up, and you're giving him a shot to fix it? Linda nodded, stirring sugar into her own mug, her silver hair catching the morning light. Yep, started with me, catching him red-handed. Receipts, lipstick, the works. Who's Cheryl? I asked, and oh, he squirmed. Thought he could sneak around after 40 years. 40 years. Jenny whistled, shaking her head. Then what? He groveled. More like crumbled, Linda said, a wry smile tugging her lips. I made him call her. Right here, speaker on. She's all Tommy. Champagne's chilling. Can you believe it? But then, twist, turns out she's two-timing him with some lumberyard guy. Saw it in the paper myself. Jenny laughed, loud and bright. No way. That got played. That's poetic. Damn right, Linda said, voice firm. He ended it. Lose my number, he yelled. Begged me to stay. I told him, couch, shall I say, Tom? Earn it. Took him to Marcello's last night. First step. He's trying, Jen. Really trying. Jenny grinned, softer now. And you're the queen holding court. So what's the takeaway, Mom? Linda set her mug down, eyes steady. Cheating's a storm. It rips everything up. But roots? Real roots, like us? They hold. We're battered, not broken. That's what matters. The kitchen hummed with quiet victory, crayons scratching, coffee steaming, a family stitched back together, thread by thorny thread.